So first of all, I know that you used to edit that Weird But True
Yes.
series, which is not the focus of our conversation today, but because I have a 6 and an 8-year-old who are both fans of that series, the weirder the facts, the
Yeah.
better. I'm just curious if looking back on that part of your career, you have a weird fact that has stuck with you more than any
I
other.
have thousands of weird facts. I think that some of my favorites are that did you know that dolphins sleep with one eye open? True. Yeah.
Huh, that's a pretty suspicious dolphin, I guess.
And
Yeah,
then my
right.
other favorite is that peanut butter can be converted into a diamond. Yeah.
Wow. Now that's something, and I guess the engagement rings would smell a whole lot better if that was the case. I think that my kids, I think, love the ones where it involves weird state
Oh,
laws.
yes.
Things like you can't go fishing from a bridge from a moving vehicle in a certain
Yes.
state. It's very strange, those. But of course, that's the fun part of your work, and I don't want to say that the media literacy part of your work isn't also fun, but certainly the consequences are much greater. So I thought I'd start with maybe just a couple of statistics to frame all of
Sure.
this up. You noted in your book, by the way, if people are watching the video excerpt, the book is over my left shoulder here. I thought it was excellent. And a couple of stats you cited. Experiments conducted by a scientist from MIT found that 44% of kids say they can't tell fake stories from real ones. That, according to a 2017 poll by Common Sense Media. Another study from Stanford University found that 82% of middle schoolers couldn't tell the difference between sponsored content and a real news story online. So it's very obvious that the lack of news literacy is a tremendous challenge. What are you hoping that your book accomplishes to help address that?
Yeah, it is. It's a really huge challenge, and it's a huge challenge for adults too, right? This is tough stuff. So, what I really hope that this book accomplishes is that I wanted it is first of all it's entertaining for kids to read, right? Kids aren't going to read it if they don't like it. So the most important thing is that it's interesting for kids. And it also provides educators and teachers, I'm sorry, educators and parents with a way to sort of open up a conversation with their kids about how do we talk about this? Where do we even start? And I think that the book really both provides a big picture. Here are the influences on our news media that can, make it maybe a little bit slanted one way or another, and also provides really practical toolkits and tips that educators and parents can use, and can really help their kids kind of put into practice the steps of media literacy. So I wanted it to be kind of, big picture and also really practical.
And when you were writing this, what age range did you have in mind?
So I was really thinking about kids ages 10 and up and kind of the sweet spot being tweens because they're really first beginning their journey into the social media landscape and they're novices, right? They don't really know what they're getting into and yet they're fascinated by it. But I have to say that many adults who have read this said that it really resonated with them and that they really took away a lot of good pointers from it. So I would say kids of all ages, including us.
And that's the thing
Yeah.
about news literacy. It is not easy.
Yeah.
And I already in the open talked about how I was caught off guard by something. And I'll just add something new to that, which is something that happened literally this
Yeah.
morning. Uh, and that is that there was a viral video going around of a Frontier Airlines flight attendant who you may have seen the story in the news in the past week, who had to duct tape a passenger to the seat. It was a disruptive passenger, and the flight attendant was interviewed on the news and was hilarious, and everybody's retweeting this very direct and funny flight attendant. And I retweeted it saying, "This guy doesn't need media training; he needs to be teaching how to do." And only after I retweeted it did I realize that was a comedian playing a flight attendant. It wasn't actually the flight attendant. And it's just another reminder that even if you pay attention to this stuff, it is so hard to get it right all
It
the
is.
time. And so, what are the things you're doing to teach
Mhm,
tweens and maybe
mhm.
teens how to be more news literate? What are a couple of specific tips you're offering them to be more savvy?
Yeah, I mean, I think there really are some really fundamental questions that kids can try to answer in order to understand the news better. So the very first question is, we all know this in journalism, right? It's what is the source of your information? Know where it's coming from. So if you get something crazy and outrageous, the first question is who is putting out this information, and and could they possibly have an agenda of some kind for this? And the other, most I would say the other important tip really is to look at multiple sources of information, because these days we are all in kind of a bubble of our own information, and information that kind of validates what we already think. And so looking at multiple sources of information and seeing, is that crazy video appearing on other news websites, or is it being reported the same way on a lot of news websites? Or is it not there at all, which is a really good tip that probably is not true. So I think those are kind of the fundamentals.
You're reminding me, when I worked for Nightline many years ago, Ted Koppel used to say, when people would ask him, why should we trust Nightline? Why should we trust you? His answer was, well, don't trust just me. Watch 5 other sources and then
Yeah.
compare them, and you make your own judgment. Watch a diversity of views. I think that is so important. And one of the things I'm struck by, Robin, is that I think a lot of bad actors have gotten very
Mhm.
good at looking like they're legitimate news sources. And
Yes.
so even if you go to their website and you look at who's quoted and
Yeah.
you look at their about
Yeah.
page, they look credible. What thoughts do you have about how to kind of ferret out good information from bad?
Well, it's really tough. And when I started out my career in journalism, I was a fact checker, right? That was something that back then nobody knew what it was except for people in the news industry. And now we all have to be fact checkers, right? So it's even if you're 9 or 90, you have to learn how to do this. So I think that one of the most important things that we can do is really monitor our reactions. Because the thing about misinformation and propaganda is that they sound like facts, but they're actually designed to make you feel really strong emotions. So, you feel outraged or you feel shocked. And so your first reaction is click and share with everybody and have them share your outrage, right? That's your first reaction. But actually, if you feel that way, that tells you that someone behind that post wanted you to feel that way. And then you have to take the next step and say, well, why? Right. And so I think that what we can teach kids is to pay attention to how they feel. And if they have this really strong reaction, don't just share right away. Stop and pause and think, and look at where the information came from. Check it against other sources. See if it's real, and then think again. And then really consider whether they should be sharing this information and whether they should be believing it.
Thanks for watching this video clip of the Speak Good podcast. If you'd like to hear the complete episode, please check out your favorite podcast directory and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.